A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Susan Nganga and our sign language interpreter tonight is Alan Hiama. To our story, DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua is set to jet back in the country on Thursday, the 21st of August at noon. DCP Deputy Party Leader Cleophas Malala made the announcement today as he made a rallying call to Kenyans to come out in large numbers and welcome back their general. Malala made scathing accusations on the government, which he says is secretly planning to assassinate the former DP in a move to silence the opposition. Gachagua has been so vocal in opposing the William Ruto administration ever since he was impeached as the deputy president. Over a month now, he traveled abroad to the USA to meet Kenyans in the diaspora as he would them to the one-term call in voting President Ruto out in 2027. Malala warned the government to be ready for dire consequences if they do any harm to their party leader.
Following a highly successful official tour of the United States of America, I am pleased to announce to the country that his plane will land at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport on Thursday, 21st August 2025 at exactly 12 noon. During his highly successful USA visit, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, our party leader, met Kenyans in Seattle, Boston, Dallas, Kansas City, and Baltimore, launching DCP satellite offices in key states, including Texas and Washington. While our party leader was abroad, forging a path for democracy renewal, the regime was hatching a dangerous and cold-blooded plot. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki and Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen have shamelessly issued public threats to arrest His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua upon his arrival. Intelligence reaching us points to a scheme so evil, so cowardly, that it kills the soul. Their intent is to subject our party leader to slow and silent assassination by poisoning, the very same cruel method once inflicted on the late Kenneth Matiba while in state custody. This is not hearsay. It is a deliberate plot to silence the voice of the people of Kenya by physically destroying its leadership. Their plan upon our party leader's arrival at JKIA is to abduct, intimidate, brutalize, and eventually place him under house arrest, cut him off from his supporters, and deny him the right to address the nation. They want to kill his voice and his body at the same time. But let this be crystal clear. If they dare lay a hand on him.
Moving forward, President William Ruto has today paid a courtesy visit to Migori County after opening the devolution conference in Homa Bay County yesterday. The head of state has once again pounced at his opponents who are rooted to a one-term slogan in their move to get him out of office in the 2027 general election. Ruto has also stated on his new agenda aimed at promoting equality to the nation through affordable housing, as Davis Karani now reports.
Wale watuta msinyinyi ndio mtaamua. Watu wa mwendo mnasemaje? Ati mnasemaje? Ati mnasemaje? Ati mnasemaje? Ati awendo mnasema.
After leading the opening of the devolution conference in Homa Bay County yesterday, President William Ruto has made his way to Migori County, touring Awendo sub-county while drumming and massing up the ground to his advantage.
Na wale majamaa wengine wa ukabila, wale wa shares, wale wa chuki, wale hawana mpango, wale hawana sera, wale hawana agenda. Mimi nataka niwaeleze hawa tutawashughulikia mapema na asubuhi.
President William Ruto went ahead and bashed his political opponents on the grounds that they have no agenda and no plan for the country, hence agents of tribal politics, which he stated that it has been overtaken by time.
Na ndio mimi nawaambia wale watu wa chuki na wale wa ukabila, wale hawana agenda, wale hawana mpango, ya kwamba sisi ni watu wa kazi bila break. Nyinyi ni siasa mfululizo, sisi ni kazi bila break. Watu wa Awendo mnasemaje?
Bank iko very busy kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Rais watu wanalipwa pesa kila wiki. Na sasa umetuongezea ingine affordable housing, watu wameanza kazi kule. Inamaanisha town watu watakuwa na pesa sana. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi nataka kukuhakikishia ya kwamba tutasimama na wewe, tutakusupport leo na hata hiyo siku ingine. Mungu akubariki. Jadi mko ni Ruto 2 terms. Ruto 2 terms. Ruto 2 terms.
At the same time, a Swahili slogan "Kumi Bila Break" was echoed at the center of the president's political tour as leaders vote to stand with President William Ruto come 2027.
Your Excellency sisi, baba akisema left ni, baba akisema right ni, baba amesema tuko katika serikali ya broad base. Namna hiyo? Si amesema namna hiyo? Sisi tutakaa kwa hii serikali ya broad base ambayo inaongozwa na Mheshimiwa William Samoei. Ya pili, kwa kumalizia, Your Excellency, sisi kama watu wa Migori kwenda mbele, tunataka kupiga siasa ya maendeleo. Tunataka kufanya siasa ya kuleta Wakenya pamoja. Siasa ya chuki, siasa ya shares, siasa ya kugawa Wakenya. Tunawajia nani? Tunawajia nani? Tunawajia nani? Tunawajia nani?
Hamtuwezi kutuletea slogan ya hapa na pale ati mtupumbwaze ati mupate nafasi ya uongozi. Lazima mtueleze what plan you have for the Republic of Kenya. Don't talk to us in parables. Talk to us in a language that we can understand. Migori hoye! Hebu nione nyinyi ni watu wa tamu gani? Ati mnasemaje? Ati mnasemaje? Ati mnasemaje?
Davis Karani, GBS News, Awendo constituency, Migori County.
Very interesting conversations going on there. And now, the United States has delivered a sharp rebuke of Kenya's human rights record, accusing President William Ruto's government of presiding over a year marked by unlawful killings and forced disappearances and a culture of impunity. Washington's latest reports paints a grim picture of crackdowns during last year's Gen Z protest and beyond. Let's take a listen. The United States has issued a damning assessment of Kenya's human rights record, raising serious concerns over the conduct of President William Ruto's administration in 2024. In its latest country report on human rights practices, the U.S. Department of State says Kenya experienced a sharp deterioration in human rights during last year's youth-led Gen Z protest against proposed tax hikes. The report documents widespread abuses in June and July, including unlawful killings, arbitrary arrest, detention, and the excessive use of police force. According to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, at least 60 people were killed during the protest. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority puts the death toll at 50, with 199 others injured, most attributed to police action. The report also highlights enforced disappearance, 82 cases recorded since June 2024, with 29 people still missing. Some arrested protesters were allegedly warned against posting protest content online, while others endured prolonged detention without formal charges. Allegations of torture were equally stuck, with victims reporting beatings, painful restrained position, and even electric shocks. Red groups say a culture of impunity has taken root, with police frustrating investigations into misconduct. The State Department also flags transnational repressions, citing cases where Ugandan opposition figures were forcibly returned to Uganda from Kenya. Journalists covering the protest faced harassment, intimidation, and in some cases, violence, prompting a chilling wave of media self-censorship. Other persistent concerns include weak labor rights enforcement, unsafe workplaces, child marriage, and the continued practice of female genital mutilation in some communities, despite its criminalization. While the Kenyan government says it is addressing these abuses, Washington's conclusion is stuck. Impunity remains systematic from the highest levels of government to the ranks of security forces. Susan Nganga, GBS News, Nairobi. Moving forward, First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto today presided over the official opening of the Kantaria Agriculture Initiative at the University of Nairobi Upper Kabete campus. The event highlighted a strong push towards innovation, food security, and a rural empowerment, with the First Lady reaffirming the government's commitment to transforming the agricultural sector for better livelihood and a stronger economy, as Paul Maina now reports.
During the opening of Kantaria Agriculture Initiative, Mama Rachel Ruto affirmed the government's commitment to creating an enabling environment through supportive policies and investment in infrastructure.
The government remains committed to fostering an enabling environment through supportive policy, investment in infrastructure, and facilitation of finance to encourage innovation and entrepreneurship in agriculture. But we cannot do this alone. We need continued support from our partners in the private sector. To the students and researchers here today, KATIC is your platform. Use it boldly to test your ideas, engage with industry, and build enterprises that will uplift our communities.
Occasionally, First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto vowed to make innovation accessible to farmers, emphasizing that it must be placed in the hearts of those who till the land and feed the nation.
Today, as we inaugurate KATIC, we give life to that vision, turning knowledge into practical solutions that reach every farmer. We will not keep innovation behind walls. We will put it in the hands that till the land and feed the nation. Graduates from this center will not just live with academic credentials. They will be solution-driven professionals with hands-on experience in emerging technologies, agribusiness, and value chain development.
As a mother in this nation, she has today reaffirmed her commitment to children's welfare, highlighting the Feed One End Hunger program as a key pillar in tackling malnutrition and ensuring every child gets a fair start in life.
As a mother in this nation, I continuously advocate for children through the Voice of Children initiative, where I have seen the power of this approach under the Feed One End Hunger program across 21 counties in Kenya. Recently, in Narok County at Olmsakwa Comprehensive School, my team and I saw what happens when knowledge meets opportunity. Through our partners, the school received organic seeds, skills, and training. Today, their school farm produces enough food not only to feed the students, but also to support the nearby Ogiek community. It is about teaching our children that a single seed can become a meal and even a source of income.
Her Excellency Richo Ruto said the bottom-up economic transformation agenda aims to transform agriculture, boost livelihoods, enhance food security, and drive economic growth.
The President's bottom-up economic transformation agenda, BETTER, focuses on transforming agriculture to improve livelihoods, food security, and the overall economy. The President believes that when we equip our farmers with the best tools, knowledge, and technology, we secure not just our harvest, but our nation's future. This innovation center is a seed of transformation, blending the wisdom of academia, the drive of enterprise, and the aspirations of a nation ready to reimagine agriculture. The spokes across TVET's institutions, Ministry of Agriculture centers, and community platforms will take those ideas to farmers, schools, and local markets.
Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul Elmina.
Now on to the county news. The county government of Machakos is assuring residents that health services remain available despite an ongoing nurses' strike affecting facilities across the nation. Addressing the media at Machakos Level 5 Hospital, county officials say the nurses' strike, which has hit some inpatient wards, is part of a nationwide crisis and not a county-specific problem. Here are the details.
At the Machakos Level 5 Hospital, activities in outpatient clinics continue as normal, despite reduced staffing in certain wards. County Secretary and Head of Public Service Dr. Muya Dambuki explained that while certain inpatient services have been disrupted, clinics and outpatient department are still running. He dismissed claims of a total shutdown, emphasizing that the county has maintained most services to protect public health.
Other aspects of the Machakos Level 5 facility are still doing what they are supposed to do, providing services to the citizens of Machakos and beyond. The Cancer Center is still operational as we talk. It won't cost anybody much to go and establish that fact. All clinics are running as expected. Our outpatient is still transacting business as usual, treating our people. Our physio and radiology centers are still working as would be expected.
The county government says the strike has impacted only some sections of healthcare delivery, with essential services and outpatient care remaining operational. Authorities have also deployed emergency measures to ensure residents can still access treatment despite staff shortages in some wards.
We are offering services in Level 5 and in all our facilities across. Apart from the nurses, all the other cadres are on duty. Doctors are on duty, clinical officers are on duty, lab is working, and they are giving services to the people of Machakos. We have also got nurses on lockup to stand in for those who are on strike. So I'm appealing to people of Machakos not to shy away to come for services in all our facilities. We are offering services. We also have a big number of nurses who want to come back to work. We are assuring them of their security and they are free to come as we continue negotiating. Finally, we have medicine in our facilities. We've gotten supplies from KEMSA. All our facilities are well stocked with medicine. So anybody coming to our facilities, they'll be able to get medicine. So I encourage people of Machakos to continue seeking services in our facilities. Thank you very much.
Officials have pledged to continue engaging with the national government and nursing unions to seek a resolution. The county says it will keep the public informed and ensure that health services remain accessible for all Machakos residents throughout the industrial dispute. Molin Rono for GBS News.
That story brings us to a very fast break here at GBS TV Africa. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa across all our social media handles. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Water remains to be the world's most precious commodity, but is the most misused. In times of drought, saving water is the only solution to making sure you have it. Don't use the shower when water is scarce. Instead, use the basin while bathing. Repair all leaking taps and pipes. Wash your car only whenever necessary. If not, use a piece of cloth to wipe it clean. Do not use the hose pipe to water your garden. Instead, use the water you clean your vegetable with to water your flowers. Do not release wastewater into rivers. Note that your downstream is someone else's upstream. Of all the waters available on Earth, only 1% is fit for human consumption. Every drop counts.
Are you all happy to see me? Yes, I'm also very happy to see you. We're going to make ta-da! A banana milk package. We're done with the banana milk
package. Our riddle for the day, guys. I am easy to lift but hard to throw. What am I?
I've been a sculptor for many years now. It's about 44 years since I started doing as professional state artist.
For 44 years, that's almost half a century. But now, where did it start? Before the 44 years, where did it start?
For me, I use art to document culture and speak more about human life and activities through art. Because I regard art as visual literature.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and now to our international news. President William Ruto, jointly with Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, co-chaired a virtual meeting of East African, Southern African leaders aimed at advancing peace in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. The panel is expected to intensify diplomatic efforts to stabilize the conflict-affected area. Let's take a listen.
The virtual summit marked a major step towards ending the conflict in Eastern DRC. President William Ruto expressed gratitude to leaders from SADC, EAC, and the African Union for their joint commitment to peace in Democratic Republic of Congo.
And permit me, Your Excellencies, to express my very sincere appreciation for the leadership that has been rolled out and the cooperation and collaboration which have enabled us to jointly steer this initiative over the past 8 months.
The leaders also approved the merger of the Nairobi and Luanda peace processes into a single African-led framework.
President Mnangagwa and I have agreed to merge the EAC SADC and AU structures into one unified Africa-led initiative in order to enhance coordination and harmonization of the peace processes in the Eastern DRC.
The summit also acknowledged a major diplomatic breakthrough led by Washington and Doha.
President Mnangagwa and I are also encouraged by the emerging extra-regional diplomatic momentum and by the key milestones achieved through the Washington and Doha initiatives, which have resulted in structured commitments by the Republic of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
With renewed regional unity and growing global support, Africa moves one step closer to lasting peace in Eastern DRC. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Ibrahim Said.
Very interesting conversation going on there. Dire warning is coming from the United Nations. The World Food Programme says the Sudanese city of El Fasher is on the brink of starvation, completely cut off from humanitarian aid as the country hunger crisis deepens. UN officials are calling for immediate access to deliver life-saving assistance. Let's take a listen. The United Nations is sounding the alarm over worsening hunger crisis in Sudan, particularly in the city of El Fasher in North Darfur, where the World Food Programme says residents are facing starvation and remain cut off from humanitarian aid. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, spokesperson Stefan Dujarric told reporters that famine, first confirmed a year ago in Zamzam camp, has since spread to parts of Darfur and Kordofan.
In August of 2024, famine was confirmed in the Zamzam camp and has since spread to areas in Darfur and Kordofan. Currently, 17 areas are classified as at risk of famine, including parts of Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, Khartoum, and Jazeera. Since then, the situation, especially in El Fasher, has only gotten worse, as we've been telling you almost on a daily basis. Our friends at the World Food Programme today called for humanitarian access to El Fasher that is facing starvation and remains cut off from humanitarian assistance.
The World Food Programme says it is providing digital cash to about 250,000 people in El Fasher, enabling them to buy what little food remains in the markets. But aid officials warn that escalating needs make it urgent to scale up assistance to meet the severity of the crisis.
World Food Programme says that as a coping mechanism, some residents of the area are reportedly surviving on animal fodder and food waste. The World Food Programme continues to provide digital cash support to roughly 250,000 people in the city, allowing them to buy the dwindling food left in the markets. However, the escalating needs make it imperative to address the hunger situation at a scale that is actually required.
The United Nations is once again urging all sides in the conflict to end the violence, engage in dialogue, and put the lives of Sudanese first. Susan Nganga, GBS News. Justice is finally reaching one of South Sudan's most remote and conflict-affected regions in Greater Paiba, where violence and impunity have long been part of our daily life. A new mobile court is helping turn the tide. Backed by the United Nations, this initiative, as Elvis Miyodi reports, is offering victims a long overdue chance to be heard and to see accountability in action. Let's take a listen.
In South Sudan's Greater Paiba region, vibrant cultural traditions exist alongside painful legacies of violence. Cattle raiding, sexual assault and child abduction have long gone unpunished. Now, change is underway. A mobile court supported by the United Nations and other partners has brought justice directly to the people.
We welcome the mobile court and thank them because we have waited for so long and the inmates suffered a lot. We encountered very difficult conditions managing the inmates in prison who are facing a wide variety of criminal charges ranging from serious incidents of murder and rape to incidents of theft.
The last person here, he murdered somebody, then they came to the police. They report their issue and they brought the suspect to the court. Yeah. So UNMISS, with the initiative of supporting the mobile court, it has helped the people of South Sudan a lot. Yeah, because it has saved the life of many. Because when the generation like here in the people area, when they go there, the casualties can go up because they just use the guns.
In just 4 weeks, it handled 26 cases, criminal and civil, resulting in convictions and peaceful resolutions that give victims a voice and restore hope.
Now, most of the cases now has been handled by the courts, and according to the issues of the law. So nobody now, I believe, nobody will be returning back to take his or her rights by the using of the hands in terms of the revenge, in terms of what. Because the court now has the jurisdiction and it is playing a very important role in the issue of the resolve the cases.
There are large numbers of accused people kept in prison for a long time. Before they are arraigned in court, they face many sleepless nights. It is our role to talk to them, counsel them, and to say that while you have waited a long time for this day and it has finally come, be ready for it as the judge will only give you limited time. We advise them to explain the events as they happened so that the judge can decide on their case and help them to receive fair judgment.
True justice must be permanent. With a new courthouse built and plans to deploy a full-time judge, the foundation is being laid for a lasting legal system.
Moving forward, we will also be working with the judiciary and the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs to look at the possibility of deploying a mobile court to Maban and potentially also Malakal in the future. However, the judiciary is also looking to hopefully promote judges going forward, or deploy another permanent High Court judge to Upper Nile State, which will make this a more sustainable process.
There is an increase of the people trusting the justice system, people coming forward with the cases to the justice. It is a great success for the entire, the judiciary, the judges, the lawyers, and I think that is the way we have to move forward, and we have to keep that momentum ongoing, because the judiciary, the justice system is necessary, and it is a paramount for a sustainable peace and the development for any society.
And for Pibor region, it's more than justice. It's a path to peace and healing. Elvis Muyodi, GBS News.
At the United Nations in New York, the UN spokesperson briefs journalists on worsening crises in Sudan and the occupied Palestine territory and urges immediate funding and unimpeded humanitarian access after partner agency flagged rising displacement, disease, and severe aid shortfalls. Fighting in Sudan has driven mass displacement and a cholera surge, straining health and food responses. The Security Council and the UN agencies are calling for safe corridors and rapid scale-up emergency assistance. In Gaza, the United Nations reports catastrophic civilian needs and demands uninterrupted humanitarian corridors to deliver medicine, food, and shelter. The UN is mobilizing partners to close funding gaps, expand vaccinations and emergency health services, and press parties for ceasefires or humanitarian pauses so life-saving aid can reach civilians in the coming days.
Let me start with the situation in Sudan today. A year ago, in August of 2024, famine was confirmed in the Zamzam camp and has since spread to areas in Darfur and Kordofan. Currently, 17 areas are classified as at risk of famine, including parts of Darfur, the Nuba Mountains, Khartoum, and Jazeera. Since then, the situation, especially in El Fasher, has only gotten worse, as we've been telling you almost on a daily basis. Our friends at the World Food Program today called for humanitarian access to El Fasher, that is facing starvation and remains cut off from humanitarian assistance. World Food Program says that as a coping mechanism, some residents of the area are reportedly surviving on animal fodder and food waste. Turning to Gaza, we're continuing with our efforts to bring in goods and fuel into the Gaza Strip. Updates from today's movements have yet to arrive back to us here in New York, as some missions are still ongoing. But I can tell you that yesterday our teams collected food and fuel from the Karim Shalom and the Zikim crossing, while more than half of the 15 missions coordinated with the Israeli security authorities were facilitated. The remaining ones were either canceled, denied, or impeded.
It is time for us to take a short break. We'll be right back with even more. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
But what is the problem? The problem, people don't want to hear the voice of Jesus, and they don't want to live through the voice of Jesus. But most of the time, people are living their life of struggling. The people who died before receiving Jesus Christ, the people who died in sin, those people, they will go to the judgment, they will go to the fire, and those people will say that they are dead because they will face the second death, which is the hellfire. People without knowing this, people think that, no, I should do something. No, I need to do something. Why? Because they don't know exact heart of God. They don't know exact will of God. And through this, God allowed His goodness. God allowed the problems in our life. And when God allowed this goodness leads us to.
Hello, my name is Nyabio. I'm from Mahanim. Call this school a good school because the second my mom saw it, she saw it was Christian-based. And when I see Christian-based, that's what the character my mother wants from me. And I like the sports that we play for PE. Like sometimes we play table tennis, we can play football, we match, and on Fridays we have games. And we verse the teachers in football. And this is why I think this school is the best school your children can go to.
And for the topic of the day is self-awareness and sisterhood. Self-awareness and sisterhood. People know they're self-aware, but if you don't know how to act on it, then you're not really as self-aware as you think.
I usually say garbage in, garbage out, and whatever you cannot give what you don't have. So impact yourself first and work on yourself. If you feel like they're draining you, well and good.
By the way, kuna kijana, unajua Ian amekuwa akinichanganya nini, and I really want us to be together. Uniambia, Ian, acha nikwambie, ufanye hivi na hivi na hivi. Alafu tunakuja friend dinner or something, na kuna una turn up na Ian, are you mad?
You know, as adulting is adulting, right now is the real intentionality that comes in. But if you are self-aware as a person, you get to now be intentional with ask. Kama mmekuwa distant, you can reach out.
Today's game is sing the artist song, right? Sing the artist song.
Nyashinski!
Aya basi, twende nalo.
Uko sawa na wote malaika na mabawa ya wote wanakita wendo mama ya.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the bulletin, and now to more international news. President Donald Trump is warning that there will be very severe consequences if Russian President Putin does not agree to stop the war in Ukraine after their summit in Alaska this week. A message he delivered to reporters as he prepared for the Kennedy Center announcement. The warning follows a pre-summit round of talks, including a virtual call with European leaders Ukraine Zelensky, aimed at setting red lines and testing whether Putin is willing to agree to a ceasefire. Trump described the consultations as very friendly and said the Alaska meeting is meant to set the table for possible follow-up diplomacy. Let's take a listen.
There will be consequences. Sanctions, tariffs? There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes.
How were your calls this morning with European leaders, and was it your call not to invite President Zelensky to your meeting with Putin?
No, just the opposite. No. We had a very good call. He was on the call. President Zelensky was on the call. I would rate it a 10, very, very friendly. No, it was always going to be, I was going to meet with President Putin, and then after that, I'm going to call the leaders and President Zelensky. I'm going to call President Zelensky, and then I'll call, probably in that order, the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing. I would say the second meeting, if the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there. And that would be a meeting where maybe it could be absolutely work. But the first meeting will not work that out. Certain great things can be gained in the first. It's going to be a very important meeting. But it's setting the table for the second meeting. I think the second meeting, if the second meeting takes place, now there may be no second meeting, because if I feel that it's not appropriate to have it because I didn't get the answers that we have to have.
We'll keep him updated on that meeting. Now, California National Guard members are positioned at the federal building in downtown Los Angeles on June 10. A federal judge in San Francisco seemed unconvinced after a 3-day trial that the continued deployment of federalized members of California's National Guard, who were originally deployed to Los Angeles in response to protest against Trump's immigration agenda. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer specifically questioned Justice Department attorneys on Wednesday on the issue on what limits exist to regulate the use of federal law announcement to protect federal buildings and employees, as the DOJ alleges is the case with the nearly 300 remaining troops on the ground in California. Let's take a listen.
The federal government's reaction was to federalize part of the California National Guard and to bring in some U.S. Marines to help with enforcement of the law in Los Angeles. The state's position in California has been no help was necessary. The protests were created by ICE being too aggressive, and the protests could be handled by the officials in Los Angeles. The state is suing the Trump administration on the grounds that the administration had no right to federalize the California National Guard without asking the governor, who is nominally the head of the California National Guard, to use troops. There's a law that goes back to the 1870s called the Posse Comitatus Act, which says that federal military personnel are not to be engaged in law enforcement. And the question in this case is whether the troops that have been stationed in Los Angeles have or have not crossed that line between what is allowable and what is not allowable, which is engaging in law enforcement the way police do.
Moving forward, U.S. tariffs on imports have not fully filtered into headline consumer prices, came as relief for investors this week as they seek insight on the impact of trade uncertainty on the economy. The New York Stock Exchange as traders work on the floor or during trading on Wednesday in New York. The benchmark SP 500 and NASDAQ indexes hit new closing highs for the second straight day on Wednesday. on hopes that the Federal Reserve was getting close to a monetary easing cycles, as Davis Karani reports.
Signs that U.S. tariffs on imports have not fully filtered into headline consumer price came as a relief for investors this week as they seek insight into the impact of trade uncertainty on the economy. Some large technology stocks, including Nvidia, Alphabet and Microsoft, among the so-called Magnificent Seven stocks, were lower as investors searched for new growth drivers.
There's a lot of things to be worried about, but it seems pure demand and greed keeps driving equity markets higher and higher. Investors are no doubt watching inflation that is, although a little cooler than expected, still stubbornly above the Fed's metric, a impugning of the independence of the Federal Reserve from the executive branch that seems to have been joined by the legislative branch now, a plethora of names being mentioned for Jerome Powell's new job and the opening seat on the Federal Reserve Board, all of which are leading to politically driven policy as opposed to sound monetary policy.
Apple rose as Bloomberg News reported the company is plotting to expansion into AI-powered robots, home security and smart displays. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 SPX gained 21.0 points or 0.33% to end at 6,466.77 points, while the Nasdaq Composite ISIC gained 32.08 points or 0.15% to 21,713.99%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average DJI rose 469.10 points or 1.06% to 44,927.71%.
A combination of some geopolitical hopes, the fact that the president is going to meet with Putin very near term is giving some hope of relaxation of geopolitical tensions. Earnings continue to be strong, and the hope for lower interest rates.
Investors were also taking notice of other sectors following the recent tech-led rally in U.S. stocks that has pushed valuations of the S&P 500 above long-term average. Davis Karani, GBS News.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is due in London to meet British Prime Minister Starmer on Thursday to take stock ahead of the U.S. President Donald Trump's key talks with Russian President Putin in Alaska on Friday. Zelensky, who was in Germany on Wednesday, has been working with European leaders to press Trump not to allow Putin to carve up Ukraine's territory at the Alaska summit.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky traveled to Germany capital to join the Chancellor Friedrich Merz on a video call with European leaders and US President Donald Trump. The show of European unity with Ukraine shows how concerned leaders are. Friday's talks in Alaska, for which none of them are invited.
I told the US President and all our European colleagues that Putin is bluffing. He's trying to put pressure before the meeting in Alaska along all of the Ukrainian front. Russia is trying to show that it can occupy all of Ukraine. Of course, this is their desire.
Trump agreeing to the hour-long with European leaders, and Zelensky is seen as small victory after relations turned sour at the start of Trump's second term a few months ago.
We've made it clear that Ukraine must be at the table as soon as follow-up meetings take place. We want the negotiations to proceed in the right order. A ceasefire must come first. Essential elements should then be agreed upon in a framework agreement. Finally, thirdly, Ukraine is prepared to negotiate on territorial issues. However, the so-called contact line must be the starting point. Legal recognition of Russian occupations is not up for debate.
Merz said that Trump largely shared the same views and promised to call them immediately after his meeting with Putin, which will take place at Almod Richardson Area Base in Anchorage.
I'm going to call President Zelensky, and then I'll call, probably in that order, the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing.
Merz said the leaders wished Trump good luck on Friday and that they hope his peace efforts will succeed. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul M. Minor.
Thank you, Paul, for that stellar report. And now to our sports lovers, it is time for your most favorite segment of the bulletin, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Now we start off the sports news with the basketball, where Kenya Basketball Federation Vice Chairman Hilmi Ali has confirmed that Kenya's men and women's 3-2-3 basketball under 21 teams have qualified for 2026 Dakar Youth Olympics. The teams have also bagged tickets for the 2026 Commonwealth Games following an impressive showing at the FIBA Africa Youth Nations League in Algiers, Algeria, where they both bagged bronze medals. Let's take a listen.
Six Continental Tour brought together 5 nations: Algeria, Egypt, Benin, Kenya and Comoros, with Kenya fielding under 21 squad in both categories. Kenya started brightly in stop 1, storming into both finals. The women fell 21-12 to Egypt, while the men narrowly lost 22-18 to host Algeria. In stop 2, the men again reached the final but fell 19-12 to Egypt. The women settled for third place after a dominant 21-5 win over Comoros. Stop 3 saw both teams settle for third, with the women edging Benin 22-6 and the men squeezed past them 15-14. The breakthrough came in stop 4, where both teams tracked gold. The women edged Algeria 17-15 in a 10th final, where the men overpowered Comoros 19-13. This double triumph became the highlight of Kenya campaign and proved they could challenge in the continent best. Top 5 and 6 tested their death, yielding third and fourth place. When the dust settled, both teams finished third overall. The men with 450 points and the women with 460 points. Kenya's global ranking jumped from 38 to 25, and they now sit third place in Africa behind Algeria and Benin. Brian Omala reporting for GBS TV, Nairobi.
Now to more good news in Kenya. Kenya is set to host the prestigious 10th Africa Aquatic Zone 3 Swimming Championships in October 17 to 19, 2025, marking a significant milestone in the country's journey in aquatic sports. The announcement was made official during a ceremonial handover of the Africa's aquatic flag to the President of Kenya Aquatics, a moment that underscored both the honor and responsibility entrusted to Kenya. This development sets the stage for a spectacular showcase of swimming talent, while also placing Kenya under the global spotlight as a premium destination for high-profile sporting events.
The Africa Aquatic Zone 3 Swimming Championship is monumental for Kenyan swimmers who will now have the rare opportunity to compete at an international championship on home soil. The championship is not only a logistical reprieve but also a chance to elevate the sports in Kenya and inspire young, aspiring swimmers to dive into the competitive world of aquatics. The championship is one of the continent's most competitive and eagerly anticipated aquatic events, drawing participants from the 11 member countries of Zone 3. This diverse mix of nations guarantees a thrilling competition as swimmers from the region battle for supremacy in the pool. While Zone 3 nations will take center stage, the 2025 championship is set to extend its reach beyond the zone. Invitation will be extended to countries from Zone 1, 2, and 4, opening the door for powerhouse swimming nations like South Africa, Egypt, and Ghana to participate. The inclusion of these countries is expected to elevate the level of competition and bring a more diverse array of athletes into Nairobi. Given Kenya's reputation as one of Africa's top tourist destinations, the event is poised to attract swimmers, coaches, and fans from across the continent and beyond. Kenya Aquatics is now tasked with ensuring the successful organization of the event. Nairobi's well-established infrastructure, coupled with enthusiasm of local swimming community, places Kenya in a strong position to deliver a world-class competition. It is also an opportunity to shine a spotlight on the progress of aquatic sports in Kenya and to inspire a new generation of swimmers to embrace the sport. For many young athletes, the chance to watch or compete alongside some of Africa's best swimmers on home soil could ignite dreams of international glory. The 10th Africa Aquatic Zone 3 Swimming Championship is set to not only showcase the continent's swimming talent, but also position Kenya as a key player in hosting international sporting events. With a blend of elite competition and Kenya's global appeal as a tourist hub, the championship promises to be a landmark event for swimming in Africa and a defining moment for Kenyan sports. Reporting for GBS TV Sports, I am John Kinyanjui.
Moving forward, European champions PSG began the new season by lifting more silverware on Wednesday as they beat Tottenham Hotspur 4-3 on penalties in the UEFA Super Cup after producing a late comeback to draw the match 2-2. Tottenham looked set to get their hands on the trophy in their first competitive match under new coach Thomas Frank as they led 2-0 just after halftime. Mickey Van gave Tottenham the lead on 39 minutes and Christian Romero got the second goal 3 minutes into the second half. However, PSG were rescued by 2 substitutes as Lee Kang-in pulled a goal back in the 85th minute and Goncalo Ramos headed in the equalizer 4 minutes into injury time. That meant a penalty shootout, although it started badly for PSG when Vitna put their first kick wide. New Paris goalkeeper Lucas Chevalier then saved from Van de Ven and Matthias Stahl missed the target, allowing Nuno Mendes to cover the winning penalty for PSG. Well, that's good news for the PSG fans. With that, we have come to the end of the news bulletin. It's always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again next time. Same channel. My name is Susan Nganga and our sign language interpreter tonight has been Alan Kiama. Have a good night.
Everywhere, GBS.